Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Ivory, and my guest today is Ayrin Estis, and she is the founder of Urban Medicine Woman. We're going to be talking about self-love. Before we get into that, I do want to say hello to my listeners in Parañaque City, Manila. Thank you so much for being here week after week. I love having you here. Ayrin, it's so funny. Like we decided we're going to talk about this, and I was just listening to a podcast, and one of the things they said on there, it wasn't really about self-love, but they kind of segued into that. And they said, once you truly love yourself, it won't matter what anybody else thinks about you.
Yeah, that's it's a beautiful concept, isn't it?
It is.
um, I'm laughing because I have heard that my whole life. Oh, if you just love yourself, it's true. It's how you get there, which is kind of what I explore all the time at 55. Like, what is that vehicle? What gets you to love yourself?
Do you
Um,
mind if we talk a little bit about what you used to do, like your early career? Because I do think that plays into this.
Yeah, my early career, I was a fashion model for many, many years, and my beauty was how you perceived me and the clothes that I was wearing. What did I look like? And there's nothing wrong with that if you don't internalize it and that becomes your mirror. If you guys are going to give me a thumbs up or wow, that looks beautiful, you look beautiful, then I'm going to feel beautiful. And I spent my early years in that space. And I can't say that, I'm completely outside that. I still, oh my God, should I wear glasses for this? How do I look? Like we still do that as should I wear this lipstick? But I feel I'm a lot better. At least I can see it now. Um, and again, I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing, but when your reflection is your sense of beauty is how the world perceives you or how you perceive the world perceiving you, because it's ridiculous. And it can be difficult. It can be really difficult. Kind of reminds me of that Snow White. Who's the fairest out of the world? There's this big witch, and you're standing there looking at this witch. Like you can't really see yourself, and you're waiting for her to tell you you're beautiful. And I think that's where I come from, that space.
And it is a part of it. I mean, especially for women, in the way the world is now, it's so much about the surface, what you look like, your
Yeah.
weight, your hair, your skin, your makeup, your clothes, and that's not who we are.
Yeah, it's not who we are, but at the same time, I don't think, the things we do to feel beautiful can be part of who we are, but it's who we are, not, do you think I'm beautiful? So that's another thing I've tried to work on is I feel beautiful. There's nothing vain about that. Like I want to feel when I stand in front of the mirror, I feel strong, I feel beautiful. It might not be the sense of the world's beauty, but it's mine. And that's taken me. I still work on that. I still work on finding that sense of beauty.
So even outside, like outside of how you feeling beautiful or other people feeling beautiful, what do you think was a turning point for you to start feeling more self-love?
I don't know if there's ever one point, but I think I began to start exploring that idea. It's hard for me to pinpoint it because I'm still exploring that idea. Every point in your life is different. I think maybe 7 years ago, I got hit with an emotional tsunami. And I think there's a point in our life where it's like, and the playing field just got leveled and I'm completely bare. And that's sort of I think, well, I know that was the beginning of Urban Medicine Woman. Like, who am I? It's not, I have to really look to see who I am in this space. And so I would say that began to happen my late 40s when I had gone through the marriage and the kids and my
Mhm.
husband is this and that. And then when you lose everything for whatever that is, a death or divorce, or when you lose your your house, your emotional house, then you realize I have defined myself by that house. So in a way, people don't really hear this enough. that is such a gift. Someone just stripped everything from you. And you have to start, who's Aaron? Who is Aaron in this world? I can't hide behind my story anymore.
As you're saying that, angels started coming in and my angel ears started ringing at a really high pitch. So the angels are emphasizing that message. I have to relate to that too, Aaron, because interestingly, I think it was like 9 years ago that I was in a point like that. Just everything was pulled out from under me. And I really was going through a dark night of the soul. And out of that, I feel like I finally found myself. I feel like I feel more comfortable with myself. I've never not liked myself, but I don't think I
Mm-hmm.
loved myself the way in a healthy way before that point. So there's something about that made me see that bad things happen, but it's not always that you did something wrong. Sometimes bad things just happen. And I'd had a lot of bad things happen to me in my life. And I did start to think there must be I must have done something to keep bringing this on myself. But I realized, no, sometimes you can just be a magnet. So I think part of the process of this is self-forgiveness and letting go of guilt and, having the kind of cutting the ties to all of the things you wish you hadn't done because we're not who we used to be.
Yeah, that's true. That's another point, just allowing ourselves to evolve. And, when we're kids, it's like, oh, we're going to be 13, or oh, we're going to be graduate high school. Oh, we're going to do this. Oh, but why can't, oh my, I'm going to be 50. This is a new chapter. I'm going to be 30, right? You have to look at like that for sanity, I think, because to keep redefining yourself is beautiful, instead of, well, when I was this or when I was that, like to stay here and look forward to the next chapter, even though you have no idea what it's going to look like. Because you did when you were a kid, you were like, wow, I don't know, but this is new and it's real exciting. But somehow the older we get, it's like, oh, we're getting older, or we don't begin to look at that journey doesn't ever have to stop, you know, everything can be new and different.
And so much of this journey is about learning to tune into how you feel about yourself and not listening to what others say about you. That is hard to do. It takes time. And it's interesting that you were saying this happened like around 40. There's something about turning around age 40 that has people looking back at what they've done, looking forward. They're very aware that they're entering into midlife. um, oh, the angels came in about that too. So I didn't think they'd be weighing in so much on this topic, but apparently they are. But they're all about love.
Yeah.
You have to be able to stand strong in yourself. If you don't think you're a good person, if you don't think that you're worthy, then it's likely others will not. That's not always true. There's some people who will see your light. Some people will see the truth, even if you don't. Thank God, because we need those people to help lift us up and get us to this point. But the more we can tune out what others' judgment is, the more we can focus on what we know is true about ourselves.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of, maybe it's because I'm 55 and I think all this is craziness, but I think it's harder now because of all the social media and everything is being thrown at you. And, when I was a kid, you picked up, Vogue magazine, or you picked up something. It wasn't just flashing in your face all the time. And I think it's harder to turn off the noise. Um, but then again, maybe it's harder for me because I'm not used to it. I guess if you're used to that when you're, like my son is a teenager, that's just the way they grew up. So I find it more difficult to shut all that down and look at myself, um, with so much virtual reality. This is virtual reality. There's no like, okay, this is virtual. Who am I? Like, that's a new concept for me. That's can be challenging, especially being a business person and talking to people and putting my products out there. just that's a whole other, it's so different than working with somebody one-on-one, you know?
It really is. And I
Yeah.
think self-esteem is an issue so many people still struggle with. They can struggle with it well into their 60s, 70s. So the sooner that you start working on that, like the happier you'll be, because when you're happy with yourself, when you truly love who you are, what you're about, then you're going to start loving life more, because it really does start with, if you truly love yourself. And I remember, like, what caused that in Dark Night of the Soul was I was in this relationship with a really dark person who masked as a light person. It's a long story, but people who knew me then and then met me a year later after he was out of my life said, you just seem so much more comfortable with yourself. You seem so much happier. And I was. I could feel that, like this big albatross off of me. Really, it's what it
Right. That's
was.
a visual for you right there. Yeah.
It is. And I just started, for instance, I always was a really good cook. People always complimented my cooking, my baking. People wanted to come to my house for dinner. I used to host big dinners. Then I got in a relationship with this person who was a retired chef. And they would tell me, oh, no, you don't do that well. No, you let me take that over. Here, let me do this. And by the time we're out of it, I thought I didn't even want to have people over for dinner, because I didn't realize that I had lost confidence in my
Uh-huh.
cooking. That's one little aspect. That's just one example. So I had to get back to, like, having people over, cooking, and stepping back into the knowledge that I do cook well. I am a good baker. It's just little things, a lot of little things that people say and do in your life can chip away at your own self-esteem, which is self-love.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Even that, though, I find you're still like all those people are helping you to feel better about yourself. I do feel that we have lost touch with a very intuitive sense about who we are. And I think that we're so indoctrinated on quick fixes, like you have a headache, take this, or, if you have a wrinkle, do this, or we're not used to spending the time with ourselves either. Like it's not something we can fix immediately, or maybe we can fix it immediately, but it's just starting that journey. Okay, I want to build this relationship with Ayrin again. The other thing is it's just it's a life path. It's something that you do over time, and just having somebody validate it for you doesn't. It works right then, but over time, it's something that you need to have that imprint yourself. And so that I'm working on too. I think again, it's not something that just happens. It's something that you choose this way of living to allow yourself to. It's going to take time.
What do you
Maybe it
think
won't.
helps you with this journey, Ayrin?
Well, my I built a whole business around aromatherapy. I always talk about, there's so many people can talk about essential oils. Like I could diagnose, if you have a sore throat, do this, or if you have a headache, do this. But to me, the very foundation of aromatherapy is the very pathway that I found to Ayrin is I always give the example, if your grandmother was making a apple pie and you walked in the kitchen, if you like apple pie, and you're just like, boom, you're flooded with this scent and you're right in your body. Everything is alive. And I think that sense of yourself, that sense using your senses to feel, there's not a lot available immediately with social media and this it's about touch and feel and smell. And so I think for me, um, aromatherapy was the beginning, to start to tap into my senses, um, a sense of myself out of this head here and into my senses. And that can be as simple as walking down the ocean and really feeling that, just being a feeling being in a more any, it seems like the world is geared to more, it's visual. Okay. And I remember I had a talk with one of my partners, like, can't we just do an audio? No, 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 we want visuals. They want visuals. Well, that auditory is very powerful too. I love your podcast because if you sit and you listen, then you hear these in your head, you see them, and it's a whole picture. But that just that element of tapping into your senses, I find for me super powerful.
And
To
people learn in different ways. Some people prefer to just hear information.
yeah,
So I
I
agree with
do.
that. I
Yeah.
know there's all this push in social media to do videos, do videos. I haven't done it yet. I don't know. I'm always like, it comes down to it. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Right,
I
right,
do my
right,
podcast. That's enough.
right. Yeah. So that the senses, I think it's about um, understanding yourself on that really intimate level, that sensory, intuitive sense that no one can give you that. That's yours. And it's available at all times. It's like when you go into a room and you can just feel like there's something it's not working for me here. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not going to stay. That's not it's not promoted as much as I wish it was. Like, how do you feel about something? How does it make you feel? That's my, that gets me to Aaron. Like if I stay here, it's ridiculous. I have such a huge imagination. I'll blow up any scenario into this catastrophic event. So I literally have this meditation thing I do sometimes at night when that little critic starts going. It's a it's called meditation for overthinking, and it's so simple, like, all right, feel your toes, feel your knees, and it works for me. Like, it gets me out of that talking point and into feeling my body and realizing that everything's balanced here, Aaron. You're breathing, it's perfect. Like, there's nothing to get crazy about.
I
This is
can
the
really
most incredible healing machine. We can solve anything if we'll just stay present and listen to ourselves. I really I don't think there's anything we can't balance, nothing. And I think a lot of imbalances are just a result of feeling imbalanced emotionally and physically. Not, I would say mostly emotionally. Like, if you're scared, look what happens to your body. It floods with all this adrenaline things. That's going to create disease. So if you're feeling good, it's like Buddha. What's the way to happiness? Be happy. Like, it's just take care of yourself emotionally. Emotionally, what feels good to you, and it's to me a simple equation that you don't hear very much. How do you feel about that?
That's an easy one for me. As an empath, I always am
Yeah,
thinking, I'm feeling, but I also am thinking. And so something I've developed to help clients, and I started with myself with this because I have anxiety. Sometimes I will, like what you're describing, like something happens, and in my head, I'm thinking of all the worst case scenarios.
yeah,
And I start getting myself all shook up, and I'll say out loud, stop creating drama.
yeah.
Ivory, stop creating drama. And I think that comes from if you grew up in any kind of chaos. It doesn't matter. It could be, in my case, I think it's the big family where there's 5 kids and there's just stuff going on all the time. I think you get addicted to chaos.
Oh,
And
I
so
definitely think
people
so.
they kind of want, if everything's good in your life and things are rolling around well, you might start blowing things up in your head to create the chaos, the drama that's not there. And that's a way to step out of self-love because you're denying yourself happiness and some tranquility.
Yeah, and on top of that, you're getting something out of it. Like, I think a great way to get attention is just have a drama. I mean, that's so people are. I don't want to get personal with my family, but if someone's in the hospital, it's a big family event. We're all going to come together and talk about it, text about it, group text it. That, why can't we do that about, hey, this just happened, and something positive. It's just, this is a way to feel connected to people through pain and drama. And I think it is addiction. I think it is something that people, it's the same thing with when something happens to you negative. um, I'll tell you one story I think is really interesting. When I went through my, as you say, dark night of the soul, and I went to a conference, and everyone had to share about what was going on with them. And I just started crying, all this stuff had happened to me. And this woman came over to me afterwards and she said, Ayrin, if you could see the light coming at you right now. I was like, what the hell? She's telling me everything's great and I feel like crap. But she was right. If you just step, I'm just stop, it's gonna get amazing. Not only is it gonna be okay, there's so much light coming towards you where I think your first response is, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry you're going through this. That you get addicted to, wow, someone cares about me. Someone cares about me so I can care about myself. But if someone does the opposite, I will remember that for the rest of my life because she was right. Out of that space came the most beautiful life I could not even have imagined. But I had that imprint of that lady telling me, and you don't see that enough. You see people, they want to bond with you because you have the same problem as they do, so we're just going to, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think there's some healing in that, but then there's a point where okay, let's leave it, let's leave it and see what comes next.
And that's the danger of letting your trauma become your story instead of just something that happened to you as part of your story, and hopefully something you overcome. It doesn't matter what's happened to you. It doesn't matter what you thought of yourself in the past. If you are aware of shortcomings, a way to help yourself find self-love is address those shortcomings, work on them, get therapy, get help from somebody. Most people, if you knew how to fix it, you would have done it by now. You probably have had it brought to your attention before. And so do something about that. I will say, my background's in the field of mental health, and I'm in counseling again. I've been in counseling multiple times through my life because of trauma. And when it raises its head and it's bothering me in any way, I go back in because I want some help. I don't want it rolling around in my head. I want to make progress with this. And I think that's been a big part of loving myself and embracing the whole journey that I've had.
Yeah, that's really a good point too, is that, just because you reach that level of you feel like you've stepped over that trauma or drama, it comes in the room. It doesn't really, it's not put to bed forever, I mean, it would be nice if some of them are, and some of them do, but there's some that just, they rearranged your DNA a little bit. So
It's a good way to put it.
yeah, so once in a while you're like, whoa, that hurts a bit. And allow myself to go in there and then step away. And I guess my point is, some things don't go away completely, but you manage them and you say that I can hear you now. I'm listening to this, and then let's move on. Like sometimes you just need to hear it or be in that space, but to live in that space, I think is what you're saying is it can be really dangerous. Not only that is you're going to create more like experiences. I mean, it's been proven. I have read if someone goes through a drama, they're more likely to create that drama again, and then their kids are likely to create that drama versus it's done for me. It's done. That's not to say it's not going to come back and hit me on the head a second, not to put away again. I'm not burying it. I'm just asking it to go away because it's too much for me right now. But if you don't let it go, you'll just keep creating that same energy. You'll just keep matching that energy, and that's uncomfortable.
It is. And I don't think that this just happens where you come to a place of loving yourself. It takes work. It takes conscious effort. And usually for most people, it does take someone outside of yourself. It might be a therapist, it might be a spiritual counselor, it might be some other sort of professional that's helping you. Actually, myofascial release has helped a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
had
that's
that.
wonderful. Mm-hmm.
I had it for another reason, but it actually released a lot of trauma from me. Like I felt freer after that. I had it for a physical reason, but I didn't expect that bonus up the emotional component, but I felt a big difference.
Yeah, I think the body holds trauma. The body stores it too. So I think for some people doing that myofascial or deep massage is a great release. Whenever you're tense, you're holding yourself. You're holding that. Yeah.
So I got to say, this is not a commercial for Urban Medicine Woman, but I have to say, like, you have sent me a little package of like a depression kit. And I went through a little bit of depression because I lost a sibling recently. So I tried that out during this time. And I put it in my diffuser and I did start feeling better. I started feeling better. So um, I'm just allowing myself to go through the process because, you can't rush it. It's kind of like the journey past trauma, the journey to self-love. Grieving is a journey too, and you have to let yourself feel it, let yourself go through it. But I didn't want to sink down into a mire as I have sometimes in the past with the loss of people. So I did try that and it did help. So I thank you for that. That I met Ayrin in Sedona long before she started this business, but I think we kind of bonded over the belief in and love of essential oils back then because I'd already been using them for years, at home, at the office. And it's so funny when people come into Sedona Soul Sisters, they'll say, "It smells so good in here." And it's just like a blend of oils that I started using years ago that's a combination of calming and uplifting. And people really respond to scent. So that's something you could try as well, is diffusing. If you don't know what a diffuser is, it's just a electric device, maybe some run on batteries too, that you put water in, you put some drops of essential oil, and it puts a scent of that oil into the air. I run one at home every day. And when I had my office at Sedona Soul Sisters, I ran one there every day. Now I just do it when clients are here at my home. But I just love that. And I got my daughters into it, my nieces into it, my sisters into it. So it's kind of nice to see people getting into this because it's an alternative way to improve your mood when needed. But I want to thank you so much. If you have one last thing you want to say about self-love, it looked like you did. I want to hear it.
Oh no, I was touched by your use of that depression energy because it validates why I am in this business because I want to empower you, and I don't know what everyone goes through a journey. It's unique to them. I can't say this is going to fix this, but this is going to bring you here, and that touches me that that the depression had that effect on you. But my last thing about self love, it's a process. It that comes in and comes out of you doubt yourself, you doubt that. But it's not perfection. It's a life path, and it's worth it.
And it's funny you say the word perfection because I wanted to emphasize self-love is not about becoming perfect because perfection is an illusion. You're never going to be perfect. It doesn't exist. So just loving who you are. And again, if you feel you have shortcomings, and we all do, addressing them, working on them. But mostly it's about just loving yourself and having that internal compass be what guides you rather than external. I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast today,
Yeah,
Ayrin.
thank you. Thank you for
It's so
inviting
lovely
me.
to see your face. I miss you here in
Yeah,
Sedona.
I do too. I miss seeing you.
Well,
Thank
next
you.
week, please tune in. I'm going to be doing a show about Archangel Zadkiel, who is the angel of mercy. You'll be learning about all the names that he's gone by, how he shows up in human history, some little known information about him you might find interesting, and then powerful invocations you can use to call upon him for assistance with the specific areas of human life he oversees. In the meantime, may your angels surround you. May your angels protect you every moment, every day of your life. I'll see you next week.